There's an epidemic relating to young men, specifically young Christian men, that revolves around adult content. A study from the University of Colorado found that 92% of men and 60% of women reported having consumed adult content in the past month. Now, that may be surprising to you or not, but either way, it's a big deal. So I just want to take a little bit to go more in depth about how detrimental adult content is for us physically, spiritually, emotionally, and relationally. Let's take a look. Number one is that adult content literally reshapes our brain's reward system. It gives us more dopamine than any normal life experience could ever dream of. In fact, the dopamine spikes we get from watching that content is more comparable to drugs like amphetamines than anything else. Think about that. And if you're getting that type of response by yourself from a screen, why would you ever pursue relationships in real life? That's why young men are the loneliest they've ever been, the most depressed they've ever been, the most anxious they've ever been, the most shackled by lust they've ever been. I believe it all funnels back to adult content. And even if you do try to pursue real life relationships while watching adult content, those relationships will suffer immensely. I've seen it destroy relationships because the expectations change. The expectations about what your partner's supposed to be able to do and what your partner's supposed to be. Nobody can live up to the catalog you're scrolling while watching adult content. It's impossible. And the most important point I can make from all of this, which is the most obvious one, but it's true, is how adult content is directly opposed to the biblical view of love and relationships. In the famous passage of 1 Corinthians 13, Paul says that love is patient and kind. It does not envy or boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist upon its own way. All that stuff is what adult content does. And again, in 1 Corinthians 6:18, Paul tells us to flee from sexual immorality, that every other sin one commits outside of his own body, but sexual immorality is committed against one's own body. So not only does adult content destroy us physically and mentally, but it destroys us spiritually from the inside out. It defiles the temple of the Holy Spirit that God intended for us to be. And in no way am I casting stones here. I've struggled with this just as every other young man has struggled with this. All I'm saying is that adult content is not to be taken lightly. And it may be commonplace in the world we live in, but it has absolutely no place invading the lives of God's sons and daughters. God bless.